A good villain is something we can all appreciate, and if this channel so far is any indication, me most of all. Believe you me, there's more in the backlog if that's what people like. And if there's one thing the much maligned My Hero Academia does have, it's some good villains. Now, it's far from a perfect series, oh far from it. It is riddled with problems big and small, I'm not gonna deny that, especially when it comes to a small army of characters. I feel so sorry for anyone who's a fan of a female character in this franchise, but hey, you clicked on here, you probably know that already. So let's talk about Tomura Shigaraki, shall we? And why he's My Hero Academia's secret weapon. I want you to think of some villains. They could be your favourites, or they could just be the first ones to come to your mind. Now, no matter who they are, they'll fall into two camps. Those who change, developing as the story progresses, and those whose characters are already set in stone, and they remain pretty much the same throughout. Neither are necessarily better or worse, by the way. However, when it comes to the side of development and change, there's definitely a pattern. When people talk about a villain's character arc, 19 times out of 20 what they're referring to is either a redemption arc, or an arc of that character becoming the villain. Sometimes both. However, what's much more rare is a villain going through an in-depth, well-done arc and staying a villain for the entire time. In terms of mainstream media, it's a real rarity to see and almost impossible to see done well. You know where I'm going with this, right? Let's start at the beginning with one Tomura Shigaraki. Specifically his first appearance, when he's actually shown as a character instead of a one-off panel or shot. Our first meeting with this character, perhaps the singular most important moment to connect to Leon, is just who this new guy is, and what is he? He is utterly, truly pathetic. His personality is that of a whiny man-child, no charisma or menace once you get over the fact he's the first proper villain. His design? He's scrawny with greasy, messy hair. His quote-unquote costume is a joke, just plain clothes, bright red trainers and hands clamping onto him that's quickly become goofy instead of threatening when you realise they're not part of his powers. Powers that aren't shown to be anything special, especially when compared to future main antagonists. Shigaraki's first showing of power is utterly pitiful, and in the grand scheme of things, that turns out to be amazing. Because it sets up our antagonists to be about the same level as our protagonists. Shigaraki is similar to Izuku in not just superficial ways, but down to the very core of their stories. This is how Izuku became the #1 hero, true. But at the same time, it's how Shigaraki became the #1 villain. And I feel like a lot of people think the development didn't really come to pass until there was a full-on arc dedicated to him and the rest of the villains. But I disagree. After his first strike, he remains in the shadows of almost every single arc afterwards, slowly building up his character and forces, and it's amazing. With Stain, we get to see this pathetic man do perhaps the first bit of introspection and growth he's done for the majority of his life, and one of the most genuinely tense scenes of the show. With the newly forming League of Villains, we get to see him act more like a mastermind, and the first hint of depth coming through. He cares about his comrades and has genuine respect for them and what they want. And in Kamino, well, obviously it doesn't get nearly as much focus as Midoriya and All Might, Shigaraki also loses his master in the climactic showdown, leaving him on his own for the first time ever. Leading, eventually, into the Mafia, and this is where people start to notice things changing. He's calmer, more controlled, no longer just a wild, unruly man-child. He can think and scheme, enough to undermine even another great criminal mind. And even if Toga and Twice do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of, actually messing with overall's plans, it's all because of Shigaraki playing the game he used to suck so horrendously at. And we all know what comes next. There's a reason why, even in the middle of a universally lambasted season and arc, the Shigaraki focused episodes are still adored. His backstory, well, not the focus of this video, is tragic and disturbing in all the ways we could have asked for and more. By this point, his power boost and new armies seem so earned and a long time coming, not because of how they're induced, but by how long we followed this man's growth into the next Demon King. When we see him let loose for the first time, it's a chilling image, no doubt, and for the first time in a long time we truly fear the destruction a villain might cause for this world. And in the war, well, those fears are confirmed. I think the war arc is flawed in a variety of ways, but something I can tell you is just how a fully, almost, grown Tomura Shigaraki pretty much carries it. From the moment he draws breath, you get to see this man, who was once a pathetic shell, a wannabe all-might killer and little more, lead a war against all of Japan's well-prepared hero society. He is absolutely terrifying. They have to pull out every stop and trick they can to keep him from obliterating anything more, and it is terrific. And the best part? We saw him get to this every step of the way. Unlike so many other series, even My Hero itself, where we see a cool, confident, uncaring villain with magnitudes of power and only hints as to how they got to be like that. We know just how Shigaraki got here. We followed him. We'd even go as far to say he kinda deserved it by the end. If you asked most My Hero fans just what separates the series from the buckets of other superhero properties that are out there, I imagine most would point to Endeavour, which, you know what, that's a very fair opinion. He's certainly one of the most well-made characters of the series. But me, I'd probably say it's one Tenko Shimura, aka Tomura Shigaraki, aka My Hero Academia's secret weapon. Hope you all enjoyed. It would be amazing if you like or share or subscribe, you know, that kind of thing. Okay, thank you, bye.